Western astrology, the 28 lunar zodiac signs are called lunar mansions. The term mansion likely derives from the Arabic manzil, the nightly resting places for a desert crossing caravan. Medieval Arabic astrologers aligned the lunar mansions with the tropical zodiac, asserting that all things should rightly fall under the auspices of the sun. Used primarily in medieval and Renaissance astrological magic, lunar mansions fell out of widespread use in the time of modern astrology. One remaining trace are the so-called critical degrees, the 28, 12 degree, 51 minutes division of the tropical zodiac, marking the start of a lunar mansion. The lunar nodes mark the 2 points where the moon's orbit intersects with the ecliptic, the sun's apparent path across the sky. The node at which the moon rises north of the ecliptic is called the ascending or north node. The opposite node where the moon crosses the south of the ecliptic is called the descending or south node. As the crossing points of the sun and moon, lunar nodes also mark where the solar and lunar eclipses occur. In relationship astrology, the lunar nodes are indicators of intense connection between charts. In evolutionary astrology, the nodes are frequently used as indicators for soul growth and evolution. Like the lunar aspides, the nodes represent points in space other than physical bodies. Likely the first zodiac, the lunar zodiac, features 27 or 28 signs based on the moon's monthly orbit. Invented for plotting the position of the moon over time, since the moon takes approximately 27 1/3 days to orbit the Earth, it spends one night in each lunar zodiac sign. The lunar zodiac may be aligned with the sidereal zodiac other than nakshatras in Indian astrology or the tropical zodiac as in the lunar mansions in Western astrology. These lunar signs are usually named for themes related to fixed stars contained within them. Astrologers assigned governing planets to each lunar zodiac sign. The most popular use of the lunar zodiac in Western astrology is in astrological magic. The Lunation Cycle describes the phases of the moon through its monthly orbit of the Earth. The cycle begins with the new moon, then increases in light through the waxing crescent. First quarter and waxing gibbous phases that culminate a full moon. The moon then decreases in light, becoming a waning gibbous. Last quarter and waning crescent before returning to its new moon phase. The cycle symbolizes the birth, growth, fulfillment, decay, death, and rebirth of natural events. Rituals tied to the lunation cycle are popular in astrological magic. Malefic derives from the Latin word maleficius, meaning misfortune or difficulty. The malefic planets Mars and Saturn, may signify difficult events or those that require hard work or efforts to resolve well. His ruddy glow links Mars with the blood and war. Mars' strength fortifies, protects, defends, and stands firm. Unlike the inner planets Mercury and Venus, Mars can appear anywhere in the night sky along the ecliptic. His vibe helps us to break away, to pioneer, to compete. Mars will inspire you to sacrifice for your principles. Known as the lesser malefic, fiery Mars signifies things that stimulate, burn, anger, or explode. An unskilled or negatively expressed Mars can turn violent, reckless, cruel, enraged, and destructive. Mars rules the zodiac signs Aries and Scorpio. His planetary joy is in the 6th house. Tuesday is Mars' day of the week. In astrological magic, Mars' color is red. His alchemical metal is iron. The adjective associated with Mars is martial. Via the natural house overlay, modern astrology associates Mars with the 1st and 8th houses. Medical astrology is used to answer questions about the cause of an illness, the period it might last, and then the best types of medicine that used for a cure, and the timing of when to administer that cure. The subject was once taught in university. Doctors used these techniques of medical astrology until well into the 1800s. Medical astrology is often used in conjunction with herbalism. This combination is similar to traditional Chinese or Ayurvedic medicine. Mercury circles the sun in just 88 days. He is the fastest moving planet across our sky with the most frequent retrogrades. Mercury switches between ideas and opportunities quickly, acquiring knowledge, inventing and assimilating new ideas, and analyzing. He is also quick to joke. Mercury, the master of all forms of communication, oversees business and other transactions. He negotiates, exchanges, barters, and advertises. He is also involved with divination, astrology, magic, and ritual. Mercury has a dark side to lying, cheating, wheeling, dealing, engaging in artistry and stealing, con artistry and stealing. Mercury rules the zodiac signs of Gemini and Virgo. His planetary joy in the first house, and Wednesday is Mercury's day of the week. In astrological magic, Mercury colors are various yellows, oranges, browns, spring green, and mottled colors. His alchemical metal is quicksilver and mercury, obviously. The objective associated with Mercury is mercurial. Via the natural house overlay, modern astrology associates Mercury with the third and sixth houses. Well, my grandma was born in June. When Mercury is retrograde, astrologers predict communication mishaps, travel delays, and computer malfunctions. While all planets turn retrograde, Mercury retrogrades 3 times each year, more than any other. As the most elevated point on the ecliptic at the moment a chart is cast, the midheaven symbolizes your highest potential. In a natal chart, the midheaven is related to your calling or purpose in the world. Planets and zodiac signs linked with the midheaven are often reflected in your career, your status in the world, or your reputation. The point opposite in the midheaven in the natal chart is the IC Imam Coeli, both mark chart angles. As the most elevated point on the ecliptic at the moment a chart is cast, and midheaven symbolizes your highest potential. In the natal chart, the midheaven is related to your calling or purpose in the world. Planets and zodiac signs linked in the midheaven are often reflected in your career, your status in the world, or your reputation. The point opposite midheaven in the natal chart is called the IC. In the quadrant house system, the midheaven marks the start of the 10th house. It is also called the MC. Midlife transits are a series of three transiting aspects involving Uranus, Neptune, and Saturn, usually encountered by someone between the ages of 39 and 44, which mark a period of heightened change or psychological and spiritual growth. Popularly known as the midlife crisis, the midlife transits are one of several points of pivotal celestial environments that lead to seek astrological advice for the first time. Due to the changes brought about by the scientific revolution, Western astrology nearly died out, but the discovery of new planets and asteroids, as well as spiritualist and mystical movements, rekindled interest during the 19th century. Since some of the theoretical underpinnings of astrology has been lost, modern astrology reinvented itself with new ideas drawn from theosophy, psychology, and science. Branches of modern astrology multiplied in the 20th century to include psychological astrology, evolutionary astrology, experimental astrology, harmonic astrology, and numerous others. Most focus on natal astrology, astrological forecasting, and to a lesser degree, mundane astrology. Modern astrology stands apart from traditional astrology through its inclusion of new planets such as Uranus, Neptune, Pluto, and others, as well as its use of the natural house overlay to assign house meanings. Mistress of the night, the moon's gravity stabilizes our climate and allows life to evolve and thrive. So the moon symbolizes things that nurture and protect. Since she sheds no light of her own, the moon's associated with gathering and receiving memory and nostalgia are functions of the moon. While her form changes, the pattern of changes remains predictable. Consequently, the moon represents the capacity to handle change as well as actions that are familiar. The unskilled use of the moon's energies include codependency, intoxication, emotional irrationality, the tendency to become stuck in habits or routines, or the feeling of being victimized by fate and addictions. The moon rules the zodiac sign Cancer. Me. Her planetary joy is the third house. Monday is the moon's day of the week. Ooh, I got Monday. In astrological magic, the moon's colors are cool, ranging from white to gray, blue, and black. Her alchemical metal is silver. The adjective associated with the moon is lunatic. Via the natural house overlay, modern astrology associates the moon with the fourth house. As a zodiac sign in which the moon is located, your moon sign indicates how you feel safe and comfortable, what your emotional outlook is, how you form habits, and how your subconscious mind works. Modern astrology considers the moon sign, sun sign, and rising sign as the 3 factors that taken together best summarize overall personality and character. The moon signs may also refer to the signs found in the lunar zodiac, such as the nakshatras or lunar mansion. Mundane astrology seeks to answer questions related to politics, business, society, and natural events such as who will win the election or which stocks will do well this year. Mundane astrology search for answers by using charts of the founding of countries, cities, or corporations, or the birth of leaders, political candidates, or others in the news. Mundane astrology is used to plan the best time for investing, for planting and harvesting crops, and for the predicting of weather and earthquakes. The mutable sign mode marks the season's end. Mutable signs are changeable, adaptable, transformative, negotiatory, or fickle. Gemini, Virgo, Sagittarius, and Pisces are the mutable signs. My mom and grandmother and Joanna. You've seen her in the lives before. Nakshatras used primarily in Indian astrology are 27-sign lunar zodiac that predates the 12 solar zodiac signs, imported from Hellenistic astrology. Nakshatras are used both in natal astrology and in astrological forecasting. These 13-degree, 20-minute sections of the ecliptic are described in Indian astrology mythology as the 27 wives of the moon god Chandra. The moon's nakshatra sign is as important as the sun sign in modern astrology. It was once traditional to the name babies in honor of the moon sign. Whew. If you've ever sought out an astrologer for advice about your life, you're already familiar with what's called natal astrology. This is primarily used for answering basic questions such as why am I here, what is my vocation, or how can I become more happy and content. Astrologers use an astrology chart cast for the moment of birth to understand character, vocational strength, spiritual growth, and more about your essential nature. Natural houses is a term used to describe a house zodiac system that overlays the first house with the first zodiac sign Aries, and the second house with the second zodiac sign Taurus, and so on. A variant of the natural house is known as a 12-letter alphabet has been used primarily in modern astrology since 1970 to explain the meaning of the houses. Like the other invisible outer planets, Uranus and Pluto, Neptune is associated with processes that move us beyond the physical. Dreamlike and elusive Neptune's planet of no boundaries or even non-being, his actions idealizes, spiritualizes, and fantasizes. Wherever Neptune is, we might be called to sacrifice, to relinquish, to let go, to surrender, or to forsake. He seeks dissolution, intoxication, escape, or anesthesia, anything to get away from the pain and weight of the three-dimensional world. It is easy to fall under the spell of too much Neptune. An unskillful and negative experience of Neptune includes a loss of identity, delusions, deception, lies, and weakened focus and lack of clarity, lack of boundaries, or a desire to escape itself. Modern astrologers associate Neptune with the zodiac sign Pisces, being the natural house overlay. Neptune and Pisces are linked to the 12th house. A new moon occurs when the sun and moon meet on the same side of the sky, and the moon is invisible to observers on Earth. During a new moon, the sun and moon form a conjunction. New moons begin a lunation cycle and therefore symbolize beginnings in astrological magic. They are regarded as auspicious times to set intentions for the coming month. Ninth house. In Hellenistic astrology, the ninth house was called the house of the sun god, the planetary joy of the sun. As the cosmic lawgiver, the sun's house held all the things that promoted exploration of the divine order, philosophy that established religion, the law, higher education, and the like. The Greek sun god Apollo oversaw the oracle at Delphi, and so prophecies, dreams, divinations, and astrology also found their place in the ninth house. In ancient times, these practices often required a pilgrimage, so long-distance travel joined in other ninth house activities. The ninth house is one of the cadent houses. It's opposite the third house. It is known as the house of the moon. Via the natural house overlay, modern astrology associates the ninth house with Sagittarius, Jupiter, or both. The North Lunar Node, also called the Ascending Node, Dragon's Head or Rahu, represents yearnings and compulsions and new cycles in karmic and evolutionary astrology. The North Node's zodiac sign and house located indicate the direction toward which the soul is growing. Ophiuchus, called the Zodiac's 13th constellation, Ophiuchus, the snake charmer, was added to the International Astronomical Union (IAU) official collection of ecliptic crossing constellations of the astronomical zodiac in 1930. The fixed stars within this constellation are associated with healing, doctors, and snakes. Most astrologers do not consider Ophiuchus to be a zodiac sign. By definition, there can never be more than 12 signs. Planets separated by 180 degrees form an opposition aspect. Since they are on opposing sides of the sky, planetary energies are polarized. Cooperation and awareness are necessary to foster growth. Respect for diversity is required in order to get along. Planets in opposition may feel a combative or competitive drive, a need for a compromise, a longing for separation, or a yearning for fulfillment. Planets in operation position share the same sign mode and polarity. According to the Thema Mundi, oppositions reflect the nature of Saturn. The strength of an opposition depends on the orb between the planets involved and is usually 8 degrees or less. An orb is a sphere of influence measured in degrees around a planet. Planets, chart angles, or other chart points and aspects to this orb experience that planet's effects. In medieval astrology, the radius of an orb was called the moiety. Modern astrologers simply use the word orb for the radius. The number of degrees of allowable orb around the planet will vary by astrologer and the planets involved, but it is usually 8-10 degrees or less. The asteroid Pallas, short for Pallas Athene, the Greek goddess of wisdom, represents the themes such as wisdom, cunning, creative intelligence, strategy, skill, craft, and healing. The part of fortune is a calculation point in an astrological chart representing manifestation or abundance, especially in the realm of money and possessions. It is often paired with the part of spirit. In Hellenistic astrology, the part of fortune is known as the lot of the moon. The part of spirit is a calculated point in a chart that represents how you use your life circumstances to further your spiritual growth. It is often paired with the part of fortune. In Hellenistic astrology, the part of spirit is known as the lot of the sun. Pisces is best when allowed to drift, to float without judgment and everlasting bliss. Then this Jupiter-ruled sign can commune with the cosmos. Pisceans strive to be in the world, yet not of it. The constellation associated with this mutable water sign is the fish. Two fish that are tied together, Pisces may need to work to stay present, to reach for the stars without getting tangled up by their own feet. Pisceans have romantic hearts which can make for a beautiful relationship, but on the other hand, they're just as likely to forget your anniversary as to woo you with their amorous gestures. Take comfort in the fact that it's not out of malice, just being lost in our own thoughts. Modern astrology associates Pisces as the 12th zodiac sign with the 12th house, via the natural overlay. Some also say Pisces has a strong affinity with the planet Neptune. Placidus houses are a time-divisional quadrant house system first developed by medieval Arab astrologers. The tools for calculation of Placidus houses became the most widely published system in the late 19th century. Hence, the system became the most popular of modern astrology in the 20th century. Planet is a catch-all term in astrology used to describe celestial objects that move. The word planet is derived from a Greek term meaning wanderer or wandering star, as the active part of the heavens and the planets lie at the heart of the astrological model, forming the framework from which zodiac sign houses and aspects derive their meanings. The planets used in traditional Western astrology and Indian astrology, Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn, are visible to the unaided eye. Modern astrologers have also incorporated the more discovered planets, Uranus and Neptune, dwarf planets such as Pluto and Ceres, and numerous other centaurs and asteroids, and the trans-Neptunian objects, the Sun and Moon, are often referred to as planets as well. For simplicity's sake, in the astrology chart, the location of the planets by zodiac sign also determines their essential dignity and house ruler. Planet return. When a planet returns to the same degree along the zodiac at which it is located at birth, a person experiences a planet return. A planet return begins a new cycle for the planet involved, considered as a useful technique for astrological forecasting. A solar return and a Saturn return are the most well-known planet return charts by any planet can be used. The planetary hours is a system for assigning each hour of the day to a governing planet. Days are divided into 12 equal parts from sunrise to sunset, and 12 more between sunset and sunrise. These parts are called hours. The ruling planets of each hour follow a repeating sequence known as the Chaldean order. The Latin names for the 7 days of the week are derived from the first planetary hour of that day. In English, these became Sunday for the sun, Monday for the moon, Tuesday for Mars. Really, I never knew that. Wednesday for Mercury, Thursday for Jupiter, Friday for Venus, Saturday for Saturn. Because astrological charts are required significant mathematical knowledge and reference material to erect. Remember, this way was before computers. Oftentimes, the planetary hours were used as a substitute, especially in astrological magic. The system of planetary joys defines a planet's favorite house. Each of the 7 visible planets has their planetary joy. Mercury joys in the 1st house, the Moon in the 3rd house, Venus in the 5th, and Mars in the 6th house. The Sun in the 9th house, Jupiter in the 11th, and Saturn in the 12th house. The planetary joys concept is the key ingredient in determining the original meanings of the house. In traditional astrology, planets are divided into 2 teams, known as sects. These teams are led by the Sun, the Moon, and the planets Jupiter and Saturn are on the Sun's team. Venus and Mars are on the Moon's team. Mercury can join other sect. When a birth time comes in the daytime, the Sun's team is stronger in a chart which birth occurs at night. The Moon's team takes a stronger role. Planetary sect plays a role in the meaning of houses as well as the essential dignity determination of the Torplicity Lords. Pluto's 248-year orbit is highly elliptical, and he spent 14 to 30 years in each zodiac sign. Since Pluto was first spotted less than 100 years ago, we've yet to experience Pluto in all signs. Consequently, it's not clear what Pluto may signify. Some astrologers call him the most important planet in the sky. Others swear he has little impact. Modern astrology associates Pluto with primordial, creative, and destructive forces. Where he sits may give insight into how we transform, transmute, regenerate, heal, renew, or purge. Power is another Pluto keyword. In both the positive and negative sense, Pluto is also linked to the hidden, occult, the taboo, or even the shameful. Modern astrology first associated Pluto with the zodiac sign Aries and later with Scorpio via the natural house. Overlay Pluto and Scorpio are linked to the 8th house. Zodiac signs are divided into 2 polarities, diurnal or yang, nocturnal signs. Planets in diurnal signs, Aries, Gemini, Leo, Libra, Sagittarius, and Aquarius are sunny, outgoing, and extroverted, and interested in what is going on in the external object. Light-filled words, fire signs, and air signs are diurnal. Planets in nocturnal signs are Taurus, Cancer, Virgo, Scorpio, Capricorn, and Pisces. Are receptive, intuitive, introverted, or motivated by subject reality. Earth signs and water signs are nocturnal. The relationship between the Earth seasons and the ecliptic is not fixed. Rather, the location of the Sun and the spring equinox moves clockwise, precesses against the background of the fixed stars at a rate of 1 degree every 72 years for a full cycle of nearly 26,000 years. Plato called this a great year. Modern astronomers refer to the phenomenon as the precession of the equinoxes. The zodiac sign in which the spring equinox is located is considered the current astrological age. As a counterpoint to the moons of apogee, black moon Lilith, astrologers named this perigee point Priapus, signifying unrealized yet potential sexual energy. When the new moon or full moon is conjunct Priapus is known as the supermoon. Priapus and a black moon Lilith are other names for the lunar aspides. An astrological forecasting tool. Progressions move the astrological chart forward and backward a symbolic amount of time to predict life events. The most commonly used form of progressions moves planets in a natal chart forward 1 day for each year of life. These are called secondary progressions. Psychological astrology is a branch of modern astrology that developed in the mid-20th century through the combination of astrology with humanistic depth and transpersonal psychology. It incorporates ideas such as archetypes, synchronicities, subpersonalities, and psychological drives, and needs so that the astrology chart becomes a tool for fostering psychological integration. Not all astrologers who practice psychological astrology are trained and licensed therapists, though some are. An astrology chart can be divided into 4 quadrants using the chart angles. In Hellenistic astrology, quadrants include the houses on either side of the chart angles and related to the stages of life. The first quadrant of 2nd and 1st and 12th houses signifies youth, the 2nd, 11th, 10th, and 9th houses, middle age, the 3rd, 8th, 7th, and 6th, old age in the 4th, 5th, 4th, and 3rd, so the soul after death. In modern astrology, the quadrants are often linked to psychological processes. The planets in the first quadrant, first, second, and third houses signify the self and self-knowledge. In the second, fourth, fifth, and sixth houses, how the self relates to family and obligations. The third, seventh, eighth, and ninth houses, how the self relates to the partners and tribe. In the fourth, 10th, 11th, and 12th houses, how the self relates to the world and the cosmic order. House systems that use the chart angles as the house cusps for the start of the first, fourth, seventh, and 10th houses are known as a quadrant house system. Regulus marks the heart of the lion in the constellation Leo. This fixed star lends a noble, generous, and ambitious, prideful tone to nearby planets or chart angles. Regulus is one of the four royal stars, along with the Aldebaran, Antares, and Fomalhaut. In astrological magic, Regulus is known as the Watcher of the North and is associated with the Archangel Raphael. Due to precession, Regulus currently sits at 0 degrees of the tropical zodiac sign Virgo. Phew. Relationship astrology uses techniques for comparing the charts of the two or more people, events, or organizations to understand how one relates to the other, as well as suggest ways to create more harmonious and loving connections. Popular relationship astrology tools include synastry, composite, and division charts. Whew. A retrograde planet appears to move along this ecliptic contrary to its usual forward or direct motion. Since retrogrades occur when another planet is closest to Earth in its orbit, retrograde planets beyond the Earth orbit appear brighter in the night sky, and at other times, retrograde planets are said to express themselves more subjectively or intensely than direct planets. All planets turn retrograde. The sun and the moon do not. When a planet begins or ends retrograde, it is called a station. The zodiac sign in which the ascendant of a chart is located, the rising sign, indicates physical form, personal style, and lifestyle. In modern astrology, the three factors that take together best summarize overall personality and characters are the rising sign, sun, and moon sign. The royal stars are four bright fixed stars along the ecliptic Aldebaran, Regulus, Antares, and Fomalhaut. Alignments with these stars may herald significant world events. Rulership is an essential dignity based on the seasons. The bright, swiftly moving lights of the moon and sun rule over the signs Cancer and Leo. These two zodiac signs govern the warmest part of the year, the northern hemisphere summer solstice. The slowest and dimmest planet visible to the naked eye, Saturn, rules over the signs Capricorn and Aquarius. These two signs govern the coldest part of the year after the winter solstice. The remaining visible planets also rule two signs, each arranged based on their apparent speed. Mercury, closest to the sun, rules the sign of the two signs, Virgo and Gemini. Next is Venus, ruling the Libra and the Taurus. Mars, ruling Scorpio and Aries, and Jupiter ruling Sagittarius and Pisces. Each planet rules one sign each of polarity, representing their dual natures, except the sun and the moon, which serve as complementary polarities to each other. Page 69. I hope you all enjoyed that reading. I wanted to give you guys some more information from that book. Hope you all enjoyed it.